We are a graduate program only. We have an MA, a PhD, and an EDD that's in dance education. And we are the only program in the nation that is completely based in dance education, completely dedicated and focused on dance education. So it's a program that is for dancers who teach and teachers who dance, both of those. And our curriculum continues the artistry process. We don't train dancers. You have to come trained already with a background in dance or a performance career in dance, or have embodied a cultural practice. Maybe you grew up dancing with your family or in your community. You have to come with a really strong dance experience that you bring into the program. And then once you're in the program, we continue that artistry really through developing the choreographic voice and developing voice. In conjunction with that, you're exploring pedagogy and the real direct connect that the creative process in pedagogy has to the creative process in dance. So the symbiotic relationship between creating a dance and creating teaching. There's just a really direct connection and symbiotic reciprocal experience between those two. We really like to help students blur the line between what an artist is and what a teacher is, so that they see it really, it's two sides of the same coin, or it's part of the same world. So our curriculum is based really in we have what we call 3 pillars: the creative aspect, pedagogy, and then of course research, because research in teaching and learning in dance helps us make connections to growing the field in terms of artistry and growing the field in terms of pedagogy. So students that come here really get grounded in all 3 of those areas. They continue to perform and make choreography. They go into field work, either in the K-12 schools or in the universities and colleges that are surrounding us. They student teach in those sites, and they engage in research. They really identify, they start to develop through multiple drafts of both a piece of choreography and a written paper about what their vision is for teaching and learning and for their art. And it's out of that vision that they pull their inquiries and their questions and their curiosities, for which then they start conducting research. And by the time they leave the program, they have a really full portfolio of something that started out as a very personal investigation, but then they have all the sort of the connections of where that investigation is situated in the field of dance and in the field of education and in the in the larger world. So they can find out who they are and where they want to go in the future. We don't specialize at all. As a matter of fact, we like to bring in a real diversity of students that come from many different backgrounds. A really important part of our program is the community that we build together with our peers in the community. So we have students that, traditional Chinese dance, traditional Korean dance, that come with African dance, that come with modern backgrounds, ballet backgrounds, Mexico, everywhere. And hip hop, just everything you can possibly imagine. And they share that experience with each other. So we don't spend our time in this program continuing to train them. We have dance classes that they take because they're investigating, they're picking apart the pedagogy that's inside of it. So they don't just sort of come in and take class. They take class, and at the same time, they deconstruct what's happening during the class so they can get a larger picture. Because in all fields in dance, we we've inherited practice, teaching practice, and there's all kinds of sort of hidden and intrinsic things inside of those teaching practice. And what we do with our students is expose what that is, what's been inherited, what are the values in that, what does that mean, is this really, so do you want to make the choice to continue that, or do you want to change something? And so bringing students in with multiple backgrounds really creates a really textured community where people's values can get challenged, and people can discover new choices they want to make. People can understand their own culture and their own inheritance better. What they all do in common with their dancing is make choreography, is become choreographers if they're not already choreographing, which often a lot of people are not. We definitely have people that come into the program that are well-established choreographers who have been presenting their work on tour all over the world, but we also have a lot of people that haven't ever choreographed a dance in their life. And so the choreography becomes a container for them to play with the vocabulary that they've inherited, to play with the teaching practices that they've inherited inside of rehearsal processes, and to deconstruct in a very personal way who they are and what they believe and where they want to go as an artist, as a teacher, as a researcher. One of the things we do is expose them to a lot of choreography in their classes, and we've developed courses that actually take them out into the field too, and try to get them out there seeing the live performance that's here in the city. And it's through engagement really with seeing work that they also get ideas for their own work. So yes, in the sense that we teach, in a choreography class, you both give opportunity for intuition to work, but you also talk about compositional structure, dynamics, partnering and relationships, how you're building relationships, space, and how you're sculpting the space. Essentially the same thing as a composer, a music composer would work with, or a visual artist would work with. It's the same, the choreographers working with those same concepts. Most people that come here have already gotten a background in anatomy and physiology, and if they haven't, then we do offer that kind of coursework for people that have not done that. But that is a major component. And the field of dance today is really moving into practices that integrate body-mind, that integrate health and well-being, and that's a very important aspect that we bring into the program. A major concept that we expect our students to really understand and to practice when they leave is the idea of a student-centered teaching. And so inside of that, understanding that wellness and well-being has everything to do with anatomy and physiology, but also with psychology and emotions and affect and how people feel. So it's really those two areas are very important to us. So we also offer coursework in dance therapy, which is with Mimi Burgo, who's one of the really most notable dance therapists in the world. And in our core curriculum, we've selected faculty who really understand what student-centered teaching is and how to balance content with student-centered work. We have the only graduate program in New York City that students can become certified with the state of New York to be K-12 dance teachers. So there's over 200 schools right here in New York City that have dance teachers in elementary, middle schools, and high schools. And there's 32 states in the nation that have dance certification. So a lot of them will go back to their state, either into a state that has it, or they'll go back and they'll really rally to bring dance into states that, into schools that don't have it. As a certified teacher, also many of them will end up working as what we call teaching artists for different venues, like there's Arts Connection, Lincoln Center, and all these places that help to get the arts into the schools where there are no certified dance, arts teachers and dance teachers. And then dance in higher education in university and college programs is another really big service area. And then there's many organizations now, almost every major dance company, New York City Ballet, American Ballet Theater, have artists who go to work in the schools or end up also teaching in higher education. So we both get students who are aiming to go into those places, or we get professional dancers who are making career transition and want to build an educational program. I would say there's sort of a relationship between intuition and real craft and skill, sort of inside and outside. And we don't emphasize one over the other. And what we try to do here is really bring both of those into the same continuum with each other. So yes, using your intuition during a choreographic process, observing giving your dancers a task and observing them and using your intuition to shape that task into something. But also being able to stand back and use real skill of how you want to construct the space and what kinds of dynamics you want to bring in or you want to change, or if you want to articulate the body in a very specific, limited way, are all part of the skill of choreography. So both of those need to inform each other, so that it's not mainly intuition, but it's also what you know about choreography and what you know about dance, that you bring into the intuitive process.